A quick disclaimer before we begin this Chapter 3 video. This chapter is very organic chemistry and biochemistry focused. Keep in mind that these are not my primary areas of study, and I will only be going as in-depth as the book goes for brevity and clarity purposes. So as we continue, please keep that in mind. Hello and welcome back to Biology for Beginners. As always, I am your host, Morgan. This week, we're going to be wrapping up Chapter 3, the molecules of the cells, by exploring nucleic acids. As always, at this moment is going to be the perfect time for you to pause and take a screenshot so you can grab the terms and definitions that we will be using in this video. And a quick reminder that all of my PowerPoints are available in PDF form for absolutely free on my Patreon. That includes this terms and definitions slide so that you may follow along with the video or mark it up if you are using it as some supplemental study material for a biology class you may be taking at the moment. So the first thing to know about nucleic acids is that they are another polymer. Specifically, these are polymers that store and translate the information that makes a living thing, and this information is passed on in the genes through reproduction. Now, the nucleic acids are specifically found housed in the nuclei of cells in the form of chromosomes. And the two nucleic acids that we see that make up life are DNA and RNA. The monomers that make up the nucleic acid polymers are called nucleotides, and they have a fairly specific structure. Each nucleotide is a 5-carbon sugar, deoxyribose in the case of DNA, which is where the D comes from, or ribose in the case of RNA, which is where the R comes from. The big difference between these sugars is the presence or lack thereof of an oxygen, which is why it's deoxy or just ribose. So attached to that 5-carbon sugar is a negatively charged phosphate group. Remember, we see those in pretty much all of our molecules that are required for our bodies to function. And then a nitrogenous base. Now, in DNA, the nitrogenous bases that we see are adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. And RNA is pretty much exactly the same, except your cell will replace thymine. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in future slides. And then when these nucleotides are bonding together to form these very large polymers that hold all of that information that makes life, the sugar will bond to the phosphate group of another nucleotide to make that lovely backbone that then becomes the DNA and RNA. Moving on here, we're going to look a little bit at DNA specifically, which is deoxyribose nucleic acid. So DNA is basically 2 polynucleotide chains wound together in a double helix. So that lovely little spiral that is often associated with biology and the biological sciences. This double helix is held together because the base pairs will bond via hydrogen bonds, which is another reason why hydrogen bonds are some of the most important bonds to life. And this bonding is not random because the base pairs will form what's known as these complementary base pairs. Guanine will always bond to cytosine, and adenine will always bond to thymine. So if you were to pull one strand of the double helix off and just look at the bases on that strand, you would know exactly what the other strand looks like because of how these complementary base pairs bond together. RNA, on the other hand, is a single polynucleotide strand. And like we mentioned before, uracil will replace the thymine. So if you remember back in the last slide a couple seconds ago, which I know is a long time, I said that A will bond to T. Well, in the case of RNA, there is no T. So you will get that A bonding to U, adenine bonding to uracil. But that's really the only thing that's different. The other base pair will still be the same. And RNA basically helps to translate the information in DNA into the usable proteins that make bodies and living things function. But a quick little side note about RNA here is that in some viruses, RNA functions as the entire genome of that virus. And genome is just the genetic information that makes a thing a thing. But that's as in-depth as I'm going to get in that at this time. The basic overall greater function of these nucleic acids is gene expression. So your genes hold the information that make you you. These genes are the codes for specific proteins that bring about the phenotype from our genotype. Genotype is what we have coded inside of us. Phenotype is what is shown on the outside. So basically you have the gene. The gene is made up of that DNA. The RNA will transcribe the information from that DNA, and then it will get translated down into the amino acid sequence that will make up the protein that will then trigger everything else for that phenotype and that gene to be expressed. And that is the long and short of that. It does go more in depth, but we will tackle that at a later time. For the moment, you know the basics of nucleic acids, and I am proud of you, and I will stop torturing you with organic chemistry and biochemistry at the moment, although this particular video hasn't been very biochem or ochem oriented, and you're welcome for that. Now, quick reminder, if you do want these slides, again, they are over on my Patreon page, absolutely free, and if you are interested in getting the slides and the video a day early, this is available a day early for all of my patrons, no matter what tier you are, over on that Patreon page as well. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, evening, what have you. Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell if you would like to see more. And if you'd like to follow me on any of my other social medias, the links are down in the description below. Don't forget to check out thereptilegoth.com for all of my articles and blog posts. If you found any value in this video and you would like to help support the channel, please check out my Patreon page. That link is also in the description down below. And a special thanks goes out to my Diamond Dragon patron, Diane B. What you're doing is really helping me fund a dream here. I will see you guys all in the next one.